Do I need a database for my business? This is a question that I get asked by absolutely everyone that I have calls with when they want information on how they can set up their Power BI reporting. And the answer is that it depends. It depends on the size of the organization. It depends on what data you want to use, if you have it available already, and you can answer it really with a couple of key questions. So number one is, what is the actual volume of the data? If you only have a couple of 100,000 rows, then you don't really need to actually build an SQL server. If you expect it to grow past that, then it might be important for future planning. But my advice would be to start as quick as you can, as simple as you can, and use an Excel sheet. Maybe use 2 or 3 Excel sheets if you've got a lot of information, and just use it as a storage only. Pull through all of the data into Power BI, do your calculations in Power BI instead of doing them in Excel. And the Excel sheet isn't something that everyone's afraid of opening up at that point. Something that gets updated either automatically, or if you're a very much smaller company, just do it manually as well, especially if you have weekly or monthly reviews. There's no need to build an automation in Power Automate or an N8N or in Make.com, anything like that. All you need is an Excel sheet, and that will act as your database, especially if you've got a low volume of data. You don't need to build a server. Situations where you might look at actually building an SQL server is if you're going to go over 500,000 rows of data, then you're probably looking at a point where you need to put it into a server. You need to set up a pipeline of some kind. Obviously here at McCarthy Analytics, we work with Azure ecosystem. So that would include either setting up a Fabric or an Azure data factory pipeline, pulling the data out, putting it into an Azure SQL server stored in the cloud, and then you can pull the data through to Power BI instead. Something where you definitely need to have an SQL server and different pipelines set up is when you're trying to pull data from different applications through APIs. In the past, you were able to pull API data and you were able to pull it directly to Power BI. There was only one token. It didn't actually get updated all the time, but there's a new version of APIs and it's called OAuth 2.0. And this just makes it so that you can pull the data directly to Power BI. If you want to connect to your applications through an API, an application program interface, then you need to hit the API in a tool like Azure Data Factory, pull the data through, actually clean it all up and put it into a server. There isn't another way to do it. You don't have to put it into a server. You can put it into an unstructured file, which will cause you lots of problems down the road. But if you're looking to pull data from a couple of applications, you absolutely need to have a server. The server will hold all of the data for you. The cost can be quite low for a database, especially for a mid-sized company. It's not going to be a huge cost, especially if you can set up the data pipeline right. It's very important that you invest time and energy into doing these things right the first time. They will save you a lot of trouble down the road. The maintenance can be very high for something that's poorly built in the beginning. And then you'll have all of the information you need. You'll have it cleaned. You'll have the important parts and you'll be able to actually use it for your reporting. Whether that's in Power BI or any other different tool, that is the best way to do it. So these are the ways that you can actually figure out if you need to create a database. And it's a very common question that I get. So if anyone has any other questions, you can check the first link in the video below. And thank you very much for listening.